Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to this Love Ambassador morning. I'm John Halcyon. This is a daily practice of gratitude and connection. I would love to hear what you were grateful for. I'm grateful on this morning for some of the things that make me sad, because sometimes the things that make your heart sing are also the ones that make you mad. It's 9/11 in America. A day with complicated thoughts. It's a time when we think about death, but it makes morality in knots. I'm here for some grateful connection. I love that I get to do it with you. I'm happy to be here this morning. I hope you will join me too. Good morning. Welcome to Love Morning. Why did that beep? That should not happen. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Love Morning. If you're here, I would love to know about it. Good morning, Razorblade. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Kiri. Kiri got 12 hours sleep last night. I got less sleep last night, but my back feels better. It's weird. I think if I sleep like 6 hours, 7 hours, I feel a little stiff in the morning. If I sleep 8, 9 hours, my back hurts. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, Sierra. Good morning, Michael. Welcome, everyone. Now, fair warning, I am in a political headspace this morning for two reasons. I watched the debate last night between the presidential frontrunners, Harris and Trump, and I was reading through some Facehouse. I like that better. Facebook memories around 9/11 that I've written through the years. And which to talk about first? Good morning, NorCal Oz. Anybody want to share some gratitude before I jump into all this? I'm grateful for Lisa having a beautiful, relaxing day at Esalen yesterday. And I'm grateful that she is going to be in San Diego by the end of this day. So she is driving south today. Sierra says, I think my decompression turned into a depression. I'm grateful to have third world problems. You mean first world problems? Well, I completely understand that. I think that I often have a depression that follows Burning Man. Lots of reasons for that. And I think for me, the best sometimes that I can do during depression is know that it is a cycle. It always feels like the world sucks, but it's that my thoughts are unable to see beyond the dark filters that turn everything into everything and nothing and always and never, always and never. This never works out. Those people always do that. Like, okay, I need to just, time will help me through this. I wish you luck. Midnight Unity, good morning. Says, I knew that decompression was really important, but after my first burn, I'm still recovering from it. It's been over 30. Is it being over 30 or is it typical post-Burning Man syndrome? At first I thought I read this as I thought maybe this is your second burn and you're still recovering from last year's decompression. I see. I think it's totally normal to still be recovering. Absolutely. I mean, it's in some ways it can be a alteration of your headspace that you never recover from, like a spiritual experience, a Kundalini experience or a psychedelic experience. Sometimes you just go like, things are different. Sometimes I can't even enjoy the same things that I used to, like, I can't eat meat anymore, or Sports seems stupid to me now. Man, I used to have so much fun watching football. I can't anymore. That kind of thing. Or the trite interactions of my workplace are like so glaringly shallow that and I used to be able to just like trudge through them without it bothering me. It's it's a thing. And I think, I keep inviting people to this group that I'm doing on Facebook, the post burn integration group. And I think that it's helpful to know that you're not alone, that there's this kind of story that, okay, you went on vacation, you're back now, get back to work. And you're different. And honestly, you don't want to go back to where you were before. So that is, it's helpful to know that you're not alone. And it's, I think, helpful to be with people and be reminded that it can be really hard. And I think that's part of the maybe less spoken about responsibility of Burning Man. And it's the reason why so many people just go and then put it in a box and try to go back to their lives until next year. But really, there's a responsibility to figure out, how can I integrate some of this stuff? How can I deal with the discomfort of the default world better? How can I stay awake? How can I be boldly more self-expressive? How can I be boldly more compassionate and creative, even in a world that's not rewarding it? I just watched this old decompression video that I made 8 years ago or something, and it can be so frustrating when you see how the world can be, and then you go, why can't people be more like that I saw? Like, why can't we be more like? Why can't the world be more like their potential? It's a good question, and really a waste of energy. The better question is, how can I be more like the person that I can be? Be the change. How can I do that? There's this old story of a monk who is in the monastery, and he finally is, he goes out into the world. They open the gates, and he starts walking out the path into the woods, and he starts getting pricks. There's like these big old thorns all over the ground, and so he takes this leather hide and starts rolling it out in front of him so he can walk on top of the leather. And the master goes, hold on. And he takes some of the leather and wraps his feet. It is an impossible task to cover the world in leather. It is an impossible task to try to change the exterior world, but we can wrap our feet in leather. We can make changes to ourselves that then make the world feel different, and the world then reacts different to us. And when we can make that changes to ourselves, it gets reflected. Different people are attracted to us. Some people are repelled by us. Some people are inspired by us. Some people are infuriated by us. But that is the reaction of change towards what we really want. And even if it's what we want or not, it is the reaction towards the unfolding of, I think, a more divine representation of what is possible. Oh. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Tanya. Tanya says, a horrid burn. Never really got out there. Grateful still to know I'm capable enough for way more than I ever knew. Isn't that such a good feeling? That's why I did a ice bath recently where I got in and I'm like, nope, I'm going to see if I can make it 30 seconds. My goal was 2 minutes, and I made it 2 minutes. And there was this feeling of like, I'm stronger than I thought. NorCal says, Burning Man ruined my life. And with a smiley face, which I will interpret as that idea of like, in the same way that when Plato leaves the cave, suddenly he ruined the shadow puppetry on the wall. Man, this chair is squeaking a lot. I should get a new chair. Joy says, happy anniversary, Hug Nation. Thanks for that reminder. Yes, Hug Nation was born from 9/11. If you want to search for Hug Nation TEDx, you can hear my TEDx talk where I tell that story. Endless gratitude for the years and years sharing in this space with you. Grateful for another day to love more, fear less, in so many more ways than one. Thank you, Joyous. I love you. Good morning, Paul. Okay, I'm going to speak to a few political things just because it's in my head, babe. First, I had no intention of watching the debate. And then I reached out to tell Paul and he said, I'm watching the debate, so I'm not going to be at gratitude. And I go, okay. And then my neighbor is like, hey, you going to watch the debate? And I was like, I don't think so. And he goes, I go, you? And he goes, what did he say? He said something like, I'm like, hell yes, I'm going to listen to the black woman speak. And he's got 2 beautiful biracial daughters, little girls. And I was like, oh yeah, like I should pay attention. So, it wasn't as horrible as I expected. Meaning it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. There were certainly things that did bother me. And I find, as always, I find it very hard to listen to Donald Trump. And I found it hard to listen to Harris speak in these absolute terms when I know that she doesn't believe them. But I know that both sides, every politician knows they have to play this game of never acknowledging complexity, never acknowledging multiple viewpoints, never acknowledging that it's a task that is probably impossible with the current climate. But they say, yes, of course. And I'm like, so that's bothersome. But I found myself gaining a whole bunch of appreciation and respect for Harris and feeling her strength and her attempt at unity, her attempt at villainizing Donald Trump, but including the country, which I don't hear from the other side as much. And I also don't hear that from Democrats. You know, Democrats are so quick to attack people that follow Trump. And so that was the other thing I was trying to do as I was watching. I was trying to be like, I am aware of the indoctrination, the brainwashing that I have gone through based on the media that I ingest. And so I have this built-in judgment and distaste for Donald Trump, but it's not innate. 100 million people think the guy's awesome. People argued with me. They said, no way, maybe 60, 70 tops. Okay. A lot of people. So I was trying to pay attention and being aware of my bias and just using it as an exercise to recognize that at the same time that I'm hearing this, someone else is watching this and they are feeling pride and energized by his words and sickened and disgusted by hers. And I'm just trying to like feel into that and trying to have, instead of like jumping to this like anger and frustration with anyone who could hear this and fall for the shit, instead of going like having some compassion for the headspace based on their brainwashing of being able to hear it with acceptance and pride. And I found it really helpful because I am planning for a Harris victory, but I'm also looking towards a world where there's more harmony with my neighbors. And I think it requires compassion. It requires choosing compassion when judgment is so easy and is so kind of trained in us by the algorithms of disdain and frustration and contempt that we are just being rewarded for. So I found it really helpful. I found myself really appreciating her, really feeling like she hit him hard in some ways that I was like, whoa. Like when she dished out her evidence of his racism, I was like, mm. And his answer was like, those are like old examples. I haven't done anything racist lately. I was like, whoa, okay. So really kind of remembering, like, as I watched it, like, my brainwashing is better than your brainwashing. That is now, I also, because I think that I'm right, but I have to acknowledge that it's all within a filter of my brainwashing. Okay, so that's on the debate. The other thing that I wanted to talk to today, just in this political headspace, is it's 9/11, which is this significant day in American modern history when we were the victims of a terrorist attack. It was a event that eventually inspired me to start Hug Nation. And as I look at it historically, and uh, it's so easy to see the horror, to think about innocent lives taken, and just have this anger and how could they, and like what kind of animal would do that, and but I find myself pulling back and looking at this timeline of the world and this endless cycle of oppression and rebellion, keeping order, and then by force, and then the violent uprisings, Boston Tea Party, terrorist attack. That was a terrorist attack. And the stories we tell is what makes us decide if someone is a terrorist or a rebel, a freedom fighter. Have you watched the Star Wars Andor series? It's fantastic. It gives this beautiful view of the world that Star Wars takes place in, but many of the scenarios and the people are living in they're people living in a society that is the government is the empire. And on their day-to-day lives, they're rarely impacted by it. It doesn't really, they live in peace. They talk to their neighbors. Every once in a while, there'll be something that happens where they're like, man, they're like fascists the way that they're cranking down or doing these things. But I think about, how many of us cheered when Luke Skywalker blew up the Death Star? The Death Star, which was in construction and filled with construction workers and low-level employees and thousands of innocent people. But we are in a narrative due to the storytelling where we see the oppressive bad guy and we see the courageous freedom fighter. I wonder if the people living under the empire and whose news stations were empire news stations, if when they announced the death of Princess Leia, the mastermind behind the Death Star terrorist attack, if the people in the mining towns of the empire cheered and said, like, we're happy about the death of someone who caused the terrorist attack against the Death Star and killed all those innocent people. Because I remember when we cheered the death of bin Laden, and it broke my heart because it wasn't the end of terrorism. Everything about it is part of these cycles. And it is there. I look at someone who is called to put their life on the line for what they believe in, for what they think to be standing up to an oppressor, and there's some courage that I see in there. Now, to take innocent lives, that's way beyond what I would consider to be an acceptable cost. But imagine if you grew up and the people around you, everyone that you know knows somebody who is killed by the violent American forces. Would you have so much respect and for human lives if they were the cost of so much of your life as you grew up? I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying that the world is complicated and nothing happened in a vacuum. There's a cause and effect to the world. The lessons of 9/11 should be not that we were wronged, we have to protect ourselves. It should be like, there's no outside the borders anymore. That there are consequences. That violence does not stop violence. Maybe you can pause it until the young ones who witnessed their parents being killed grow up to a point till enough of them feel like, all right, now is when we fight back. And so I look at 9/11 as this really poignant, painful, sad example of what we are seeing now in many parts of the world. And how susceptible we are to making it black and white and seeing good guys and bad guys. So I mourn those who died. I feel pain for this world of violent tension and its ebbs and flows that occasionally, just like tectonic plates, occasionally there's an earthquake, a volcano, a terrorist attack. But the only way to stop them is through removing the tension. And I don't think we make enough effort to do that. Okay, I will move on from that and say that I also believe that one of the ways that we can be activists and try to remove that tension is to do this, and to try to be a love ambassador and try to say hello and good morning to your neighbors and try to have compassion for the Trump supporter that you think is an idiot. Go, why do I think that? We're all caught in these systems of believing our stories of good guys and bad guys. Everyone's trying to protect their kids. Everyone's trying to protect their freedom. They just fall into stories that sometimes result in actions that seem abhorrent. So I think that being a love ambassador, spreading ripples in the world that you live in the communities that you're in, to the strangers you meet, that's one thing we can do. Be the reason that someone believes that people are good. Be the reason that some Trump supporter believes that not all liberals are idiots, that there's compassion in the world if we look for it. Be the reason that more people expose their underbellies and their compassion and suspend their distrust and anger long enough to find understanding and compassion for one another. Sierra says, we're all just walking each other home. Amen. Thank you, Ram Dass. Kiri said, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for this beautiful human existence. And that too, right? Tanya's sharing, people helped me walk home lost from burn to camp. Oh, wait. I think you said before this. Oh, I went by your camp and it was empty. I was so bummed. I had a shoulder pad and a new heart goggles I made to send your way. Oh. Did you go to Burn Without Borders or to Pink Heart? Oh. Oh, and then you got lost on the night of the burn. Sorry to hear that. And people helped me walk home. I adore everyone that helped me along my lonely way. What a beautiful community. Oh, I like the way that story ends. Good morning, Celeste. Good morning, Trimson Dawn. Anyone else want to share a little bit of gratitude before we go off into our days and act as love ambassadors? Work on suspending our judgment, work on amplifying our compassion, work on reasons to say hello and good morning and see the humanity in someone outside of which sports team that they're rooting for. Hey, Danny. Danny says, I'm grateful to have received and I love you from you as I was walking my wife along with her father back to camp from medical. Well, I'll be honest, I didn't know it was you when I said it, but I stand by that statement. I love you, Danny. I hope that the medical experience was healing. Thank you, Sierra. Beautiful, Danny. Oh, well, if you're still here and you've endured all of my ranting, thank you for your patience and your understanding. Wherever you are, let's give each other and ourselves a hug. Let's embrace our bodies and let it be symbolic for our connection to one another, recognizing it doesn't matter where our feet are, it matters where our heart is, and we can connect through our understanding, through our intentions. So let's feel connected to this human family at a level way deeper than our political beliefs or our favorite sports team or our names we use for God. And let's take a deep breath in and squeeze one another. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of you beautiful love ambassadors, thanks for being here today. I love you.